Who fixed my armor? The Dragon Queen roared. A lone human mechanic answered. Before we dive into this story, drop a quick hi in the comments and tell me where you're watching from. It really helps support the channel. The vast ceremonial hall fell silent as Queen Zalia's thunderous voice echoed off ancient stone walls. Her massive scaled form towered over the assembled court, iridescent armor plates gleaming impossibly bright under the crystal chandeliers. Something was different about her battle regalia, and the queen was not pleased about being kept in the dark. Deep within the sprawling maintenance tunnels beneath the royal palace of Dracorath, Logan Hayes wiped grimy hands on his already stained coveralls and sighed. The ventilation system in this section had failed again, making the cramped workspace unbearably hot. As the only human mechanic on a planet of technologically advanced dragon-like beings, he'd grown accustomed to being assigned the jobs no one else wanted. The tight spaces, the overlooked repairs, the systems deemed too insignificant for the attention of the royal engineers. Logan had arrived on Dracorath 3 years ago, part of the first human exchange program following first contact with the Drakari Empire. While other humans had been assigned to prestigious diplomatic positions or cultural exchange programs, Logan's mechanical aptitude had landed him in the maintenance division, essentially becoming the palace janitor with a toolbox. The dragons, averaging 15 feet tall with wingspans twice that length, simply couldn't access many of the spaces their ancestors had designed before advanced technology had increased their physical size over generations. "Base, where are you hiding, tiny one?" The gruff voice of Torlag, Logan's supervisor, reverberated through the maintenance tunnel. The massive dragon's head appeared at the tunnel entrance, his bronze scales catching the light from Logan's work lamp. "Just finishing the ventilation repair, sir," Logan called back, gathering his tools. Thermal regulator was shot again. "I've bypassed it with a manual control until we get a replacement." Torlag snorted, a small jet of flame briefly illuminating the tunnel. "Forget that. You're needed upstairs." Now, Logan's stomach dropped. In 3 years, he had never been summoned upstairs, the common term for the royal quarters and throne room. Maintenance workers, especially human ones, simply weren't seen in those rarefied spaces. "What's going on?" Logan asked, crawling out of the access panel and standing to his full height of just under 6 feet, barely reaching Torlag's chest. "The Queen's ceremonial battle armor has been modified," Torlag said, his expression unreadable in the typical draconic way. "She wants to know who did it." "And you think I did?" Logan asked incredulously. "No, small one. I know you did." Torlag's massive scaled head lowered to Logan's level. "The modifications bear your distinctive, human touch." Logan felt the blood drain from his face as memories from 3 nights ago flooded back. He had been doing routine maintenance in the royal armory when he'd noticed the Queen's ceremonial armor on display. The intricate system of plates and joints had caught his attention, particularly the obvious design flaw in the shoulder articulation that would cause friction and limit mobility. Without thinking much about it, it was late, he was tired, and fixing things was second nature. Logan had spent hours recalibrating and improving the armor's joint systems. It had been a technical challenge, a puzzle to solve during a long night shift. He hadn't considered the political implications of touching the Queen's personal armor without permission. "I was just trying to help," Logan muttered. "The Queen is waiting," Torlag said simply, gesturing toward the lift that would take them upstairs. As they rode in silence, Logan contemplated his options. Running wasn't possible, not on a planet of apex predators with wings. Fighting was laughable for the same reason. His only choice was to face whatever punishment awaited him and hope the 3 years of reliable service would count for something. The throne room doors were 20 feet tall, carved from some dense alien wood, and inlaid with precious metals and patterns that told the history of the Drakari royal line. As they swung open, Logan felt like an insect about to be squashed. The room beyond was cavernous, designed to accommodate dozens of full-grown dragons with room for their wings to spread in formal displays. At the far end, Queen Zalia sat upon a raised dais, her scales a deep midnight blue that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Unlike the armor Logan had modified, which was now displayed on a stand beside the throne, the Queen wore simple ceremonial robes that draped over her powerful form. Her eyes, vertical slits of burning amber, fixed on Logan immediately as he entered. The assembled court fell silent as Logan approached, flanked by Torlag. Whispers and low growls followed him, and Logan caught fragments of draconic language, most containing variations of human and presumptuous. "Your Majesty," Torlag announced with a formal bow, wings slightly extended in deference. "I present Logan Hayes, human maintenance technician." Queen Zalia's massive head lowered, bringing those intense amber eyes level with Logan. Her nostrils flared, and Logan could feel the heat of her breath as she studied him. "So," she said, her voice surprisingly melodic despite its volume, "you are the one who modified my battle regalia without permission." It wasn't a question. Logan swallowed hard and nodded. "Yes, Your Majesty." A ripple of shocked murmurs swept through the court at his admission. Dragons valued honesty but also proper deference and protocol, neither of which Logan was displaying by Drakari standards. "Explain yourself," the Queen commanded. Logan took a deep breath. He was already in trouble. Might as well be thorough. "The shoulder joint assembly had a design flaw, Your Majesty. The primary rotation bearing was causing friction against the secondary plate, which would have limited your range of motion and eventually caused damage to the armor itself. I recalibrated the articulation system and reinforced the load-bearing points to distribute weight more efficiently." More murmurs from the court, though Logan thought he detected notes of interest among the outraged now. "And you took it upon yourself to make these changes because—" The Queen's head tilted slightly in what Logan had learned was a sign of curiosity among the Drakari. "Because it needed fixing," Logan said simply. "I'm a mechanic. I fix things." Queen Zalia was silent for a long moment, her gaze never leaving Logan's face. Then, to everyone's surprise, she stood and moved toward the armor display. With a fluid grace that belied her enormous size, she began to don the ceremonial armor, piece by piece, assisted by royal attendants. Logan held his breath. If the modifications didn't perform as intended, his life expectancy could be measured in seconds. The final piece, the complex shoulder assembly, was attached. The Queen rolled her massive shoulders and then, in a sudden movement that caused everyone in the court to step back, spread her wings to their full 30-foot span. The armor shifted and adjusted perfectly, accommodating the movement without resistance. Queen Zalia's eyes widened slightly. She rotated her shoulders again, then executed a series of movements that would have been impossible with the original design. The armor moved with her as if it were part of her body, the metal plates sliding seamlessly against each other. "Interesting," she said finally, retracting her wings and turning back to Logan. "You have improved my armor significantly, human." Relief flooded through Logan, but he knew better than to celebrate prematurely. The Drakari were notoriously unpredictable by human standards. "However," the Queen continued, "you committed a serious breach of protocol. The royal battle regalia is sacred, passed down through generations, modified only by appointed royal armorsmiths after extensive ceremonial preparations." Logan's heart sank. "I understand, Your Majesty. I apologize for my ignorance." Queen Zalia made a sound that might have been a draconic equivalent of a thoughtful hum. "Ignorance does not excuse the breach, but your skill." She paused, examining the armor again. "Your skill is undeniable." She turned to address the court. "The human will be reassigned. From this day forward, Logan Hayes will serve as special technical advisor to the Royal Armorsmith Guild." Logan blinked in surprise, while Torlag made a choking sound beside him. A promotion? That was the last thing he had expected. Additionally, the Queen continued, he will personally oversee the retrofit of all Royal Guard battle armor with his improved joint design. Now the court erupted in earnest, dragons hissing and growling in protest. The Royal Guard commander, a massive red-scaled dragon named Kravax, stepped forward with wings partially extended in a display of challenge. "Your Majesty, with all due respect, this human knows nothing of our traditions, our battle techniques, our sacred armoring rituals. To entrust him with the protection of your royal guards is logical," Queen Zalia interrupted. "His design works. Tradition has value, Commander Kravax, but so does innovation. The human will work under the guidance of Master Armorsmith Valthor to ensure all protocols are respected." An elderly dragon with faded gray scales inclined his head in acknowledgement. Logan recognized him as the legendary royal armorsmith whose work was celebrated throughout the Empire. "But your majesty," Kravax persisted, "he is human, barely more than a primate. How can we trust?" "Enough." The queen's voice was soft, but carried unmistakable authority. "I have made my decision. The human has proven his worth through skill rather than speech, a quality more of my subjects would do well to emulate." The court fell silent. Logan stood frozen, still processing what had just happened. "Logan Hayes," Queen Zalia addressed him directly again. "Do you accept this new position in service to the throne?" Logan straightened his posture and met the queen's gaze as directly as he dared. "I do, your majesty. Thank you for the opportunity." The queen's mouth curved in what Logan had learned to recognize as a draconic smile. "Good. Report to Master Valthor tomorrow morning. You are dismissed." As Logan turned to leave, still in a daze, he heard the queen add, "Oh, and Hayes, the next time you feel compelled to improve royal property, ask first." A few nervous chuckles rippled through the court, breaking the tension. Logan nodded respectfully and followed Torlag out of the throne room. Once the massive doors closed behind them, Torlag let out a breath that smelled of sulfur. "Well, small one, it seems you've either been very lucky or very clever. Perhaps both." "I just fixed what needed fixing," Logan said, still trying to make sense of what had happened. "Indeed. And now you'll be fixing much more." Torlag's massive scaled face was unreadable. "I suggest you prepare yourself. The Armorsmith Guild is not known for welcoming outsiders." Logan nodded, understanding the warning. "I'll do my best not to embarrass you, sir." "You are no longer under my supervision, Hayes," Torlag rumbled. "But know this, many eyes will be watching you now. The favorable attention of the queen is both a blessing and a danger." With that cryptic remark, Torlag turned and lumbered away, leaving Logan alone in the ornate hallway, wondering what exactly he had gotten himself into. The next morning, Logan reported to the Armorsmith Guild Hall, a massive stone structure adjacent to the palace. The building's entrance was carved to resemble a dragon's maw, complete with metallic teeth that gleamed in the light of Dracorath's twin suns. 2 royal guards flanked the entrance, their armor similar to the set Logan had modified, though noticeably less refined. The guards regarded Logan with obvious suspicion as he approached, their tails swishing in agitation. "I'm Logan Hayes," he announced, trying to project confidence he didn't feel. "Here to see Master Valthor by order of Queen Zalia." One guard snorted dismissively, but stepped aside. "The human is expected," he growled to his companion. Inside, the guild hall opened into a cavernous central chamber where several Dracari armorsmiths were at work. Massive forges lined the walls, each radiating heat that would have been unbearable for humans without the advanced cooling systems integrated into the building. The dragons, naturally resistant to heat, moved comfortably among the flames, their scales reflecting the orange glow of molten metal. The room fell silent as Logan entered, all eyes turning to stare at the human interloper. Logan fought the urge to shrink back, reminding himself that he was here by royal decree. "The human arrives," announced a familiar voice, and Logan turned to see Master Valthor approaching. Up close, the elderly dragon was even more impressive, his gray scales bearing intricate patterns that Logan now recognized as ceremonial burn marks, badges of honor among the Armorsmith Guild. "Master Valthor," Logan bowed respectfully. "Thank you for allowing me to join your guild." "It was not my decision," Valthor said bluntly, though without obvious malice. "However, I have examined your modifications to Her Majesty's armor. Your work shows potential." Coming from the Master Armorsmith, this was high praise indeed. Logan inclined his head in acknowledgement. "Come." Valthor turned and began walking toward the back of the hall. "I will show you where you will work." Logan followed, acutely aware of the hostile stares following him. As they walked, he noted the various workstations and the projects underway. Magnificent armor sets in various stages of completion, each bearing the distinctive stylized patterns of Dracari craftsmanship. "The Queen has ordered that all Royal Guard armor be retrofitted with your joint design," Valthor said as they walked. "That is 127 complete sets of battle regalia, each custom-fitted to its wearer." Logan whistled under his breath. That's a lot of armor. Indeed. And each must be modified without compromising its integrity, its ceremonial significance, or its aesthetic value. Valthor paused, turning his ancient eyes on Logan. Can you do this? With proper guidance on the ceremonial aspects, yes, Logan replied honestly. The mechanical modifications I'm confident about. The cultural significance I'll need to learn. Valthor made a rumbling sound deep in his chest that Logan couldn't interpret. At least you acknowledge your limitations. That is a beginning. They arrived at a smaller chamber off the main hall. Inside was a workbench that had clearly been adjusted for Logan's height, along with an array of tools, some familiar, some alien to him. One wall displayed diagrams of Drakari anatomy and armor designs. This will be your workspace, Valthor said. You will begin with theoretical studies of our traditions before touching any actual armor. My apprentice, Thera, will instruct you in these matters. As if on cue, a dragon entered the chamber. Logan was surprised to see that Thera was significantly smaller than most Drakari he had encountered, perhaps only 10 feet tall, and her scales were an unusual pale gold color that seemed to shimmer even in the dim light of the workshop. Master Valthor, she greeted the elder dragon respectfully, then turned curious eyes to Logan. This is the human? Logan Hayes. Logan introduced himself with a small bow. Thera is the most knowledgeable apprentice regarding our ancient traditions, Valthor explained. She will ensure you do not commit any cultural offenses while implementing your technical improvements. Thera's expression was difficult for Logan to read, but she didn't seem openly hostile like the others, merely curious. I'll leave you to begin, Valthor said. The Queen has requested a progress report in 3 days. I suggest you work quickly, human. With that, the master armorsmith departed, leaving Logan alone with Thera. So, Logan began awkwardly. Where should we start? Thera circled him slowly, studying him with an intensity that made Logan uncomfortable. You truly created the new joint design? Not copied it from somewhere. Created it, Logan confirmed. It's just basic mechanical engineering applied to your existing armor structure. The problem was clear, so the solution was, well, not simple, but logical. Interesting. Thera stopped circling. Most of our armorsmiths are bound by tradition. They create as they were taught, repeating patterns established thousands of years ago. Few think to question if there might be a better way. Logan raised an eyebrow in surprise. This wasn't the response he'd expected. Don't misunderstand. Thera continued quickly. Our traditions are sacred and valuable. But sometimes, she trailed off, then shook her head. Let us begin with the fundamentals. You need to understand the spiritual significance of each armor component before you can modify it appropriately. For the next several hours, Thera guided Logan through an intensive crash course in Drakari armor traditions. She explained how each piece represented a specific virtue or historical event, how certain patterns were reserved for specific ranks, and how the very act of crafting armor was considered a form of meditation and devotion to the ancient dragon gods. Logan absorbed as much as he could, taking notes and asking questions. To his surprise, Thera answered patiently, seeming to appreciate his genuine interest in understanding their culture rather than merely implementing his mechanical fixes. By late afternoon, Logan's head was swimming with information, but he felt he had grasped the basics. I think I understand enough to begin designing the modification templates, he said. Can I see one of the standard Royal Guard armor sets? Thera hesitated. It would be unusual for an outsider to handle sacred armor so soon. I don't need to touch it yet, Logan clarified. Just to see it, to confirm my understanding of the structure. After a moment's consideration, Thera nodded. Wait here. She returned shortly with a complete set of Royal Guard armor mounted on a stand. The craftsmanship was exquisite, each plate bearing intricate engravings that told the story of the Guard's lineage and achievements. This belongs to Guard Captain Zarek, Thera explained. He is currently on extended patrol at the northern border, so his armor is available for study. Logan approached the armor respectfully, mindful of everything Thera had taught him about its significance. He examined the shoulder joints carefully, confirming that they had the same design flaw he had corrected in the Queen's armor. Yes, I see the issue, he murmured, more to himself than to Thera. The primary rotation bearing is placed too close to the secondary support strut, creating friction during certain movements. And look here, he pointed without touching. The weight distribution is concentrated on these 2 points when it should be spread across these 4. Thera moved closer, her head tilting in the draconic expression of curiosity. Show me. Logan grabbed a piece of paper and quickly sketched the current design, then beside it, his proposed modification. See how this redirects the force along these channels? It allows for greater mobility while actually strengthening the overall structure. Thera studied his drawings, her tail swishing thoughtfully. And this would not alter the external appearance? The sacred patterns would remain undisturbed. Completely undisturbed, Logan confirmed. All changes are internal to the joint mechanism. From the outside, it would look exactly the same. Fascinating, Thera said softly. Such a small change, yet so significant in function. That's engineering for you, Logan smiled. Sometimes the biggest improvements come from the smallest adjustments. Their conversation was interrupted by the sound of heavy footsteps approaching. Commander Kravax entered the workshop, his massive red-scaled form nearly filling the doorway. His expression darkened at the sight of Logan standing near the armor. What is the meaning of this? He demanded. The human is handling sacred armor already? He is not handling it, Commander, Thera replied calmly. Merely studying it, as instructed by Master Valthor and commissioned by Her Majesty. Kravax's nostrils flared, small jets of flame escaping with his exhale. I do not care what the Queen has ordered. This human has no right to lay his hands on the sacred regalia of my guards. Logan stepped back from the armor, hands raised placatingly. I haven't touched it, Commander. Just looking. Your eyes dishonor it enough, Kravax growled. I have come to inform you, human, that while the Queen may have been impressed by your tinkering, the Royal Guard is not. We will not wear armor defiled by human hands. Thera's scales bristled visibly. Commander, that is not your decision to make. The Queen has decreed. The Queen is misguided in this matter, Kravax interrupted, a serious breach of protocol that shocked both Thera and Logan. She has been too welcoming of humans and their ways. Some of us remember the old traditions and will not see them trampled by hairless apes who think themselves clever. Logan felt a chill despite the workshop's heat. This wasn't just about armor anymore. There were deeper political currents at play that he hadn't been aware of. Commander Kravax, Logan said carefully, I respect your traditions. That's why I'm studying them before making any modifications. The changes I propose wouldn't alter the sacred aspects of the armor, only improve its function. Silence, Kravax hissed. You know nothing of our ways. This is merely the beginning. First our armor, then what? Our weapons, our ceremonies, our throne. The dragon leaned in close, his hot breath washing over Logan. Some changes will not be tolerated, human. Remember that. With that ominous warning, Kravax turned and stalked out, his tail leaving a scorched mark on the stone floor. A heavy silence fell over the workshop. Finally, Logan exhaled shakily. I take it he speaks for others beyond himself. Thera nodded grimly. Commander Kravax leads the traditionalist faction at court. They believe the Queen has been too progressive, particularly regarding relations with other species like humans. And now I'm caught in the middle of a political dispute, Logan sighed. Perfect. More than you know, Thera said quietly. The modifications to the Queen's armor have become a symbol, for progressives, a sign of beneficial cooperation, for traditionalists, evidence of human corruption of sacred ways. Logan ran a hand through his hair in frustration. I just fixed a mechanical problem. I didn't mean to start a cultural revolution. Often the greatest changes begin with the smallest actions, Thera observed. For what it's worth, I believe your modifications have merit, both practical and symbolic. Perhaps it is time for some of our more rigid traditions to bend before they break. Logan looked at her with new appreciation. You're not what I expected, Thera. The golden dragon made a sound that Logan recognized as draconic laughter. Nor are you, human. Now, shall we continue our work? It seems we have more than the Queen to impress now. Over the next 2 days, Logan and Thera worked intensively to develop a modification plan that would satisfy both the technical requirements and the cultural sensitivities involved. Logan created detailed diagrams and small-scale models to demonstrate the changes, while Thera provided invaluable insight into which elements could be altered and which must remain untouched. Master Valthor visited periodically to observe their progress, offering terse but constructive criticism. To Logan's surprise, the old dragon seemed to be warming to him slightly, even going so far as to compliment one of his more elegant solutions for the neck joint reinforcement. On the morning of the third day, as Logan and Thera were preparing their presentation for the Queen, an unexpected visitor arrived at the workshop, Queen Xalia herself, accompanied only by 2 royal guards rather than her usual extensive entourage. Logan and Thera immediately prostrated themselves in the formal draconic greeting. The Queen acknowledged them with a slight nod. "Rise," she commanded. "I have come to see your progress myself rather than waiting for a formal presentation." "We are honored, Your Majesty," Thera said, recovering more quickly than Logan from the surprise. Queen Xalia moved to the workbench where their diagrams and models were displayed. "Explain," she said simply, looking at Logan. Taking a deep breath to steady his nerves, Logan began to outline their proposed modification system. He demonstrated with the models how each joint would be reconfigured, emphasizing the improved mobility and durability while pointing out how the sacred external patterns would remain completely unchanged. The Queen listened attentively, occasionally asking surprisingly technical questions that revealed a deeper understanding of mechanical principles than Logan had expected. "And the ceremonial aspects?" she asked finally, turning to Thera. "All sacred elements are preserved, Your Majesty," Thera assured her. "We have designed the process to include the traditional blessing rituals at each stage of modification." Queen Xalia nodded slowly. "You have done well, both of you." She turned her amber gaze fully on Logan. "Particularly you, human. You have shown respect for our ways while offering genuine improvement." "Thank you, Your Majesty," Logan said, feeling a weight lift from his shoulders. "However," the Queen continued, "I am aware of the resistance to this project. Commander Kravax has made his objections known to me directly." Logan and Thera exchanged glances. "Your Majesty," Thera began hesitantly, "the commander's views are political in nature rather than practical," the Queen finished for her. "Yes, I am well aware." She sighed, a sound like distant thunder. "Change is never easy, especially for a species as long-lived as ours. Traditions that have endured for thousands of years are not lightly set aside." "The modifications don't set aside traditions, Your Majesty," Logan pointed out respectfully. "They preserve them while addressing practical weaknesses." "An important distinction," the Queen agreed, "but one that traditionalists like Kravax choose not to see." She was silent for a moment, her massive form perfectly still in thought. "I believe a demonstration is in order. Something more dramatic than diagrams and models." Logan felt a flutter of apprehension. "What sort of demonstration, Your Majesty?" The Queen's mouth curved in that slight draconic smile that Logan had come to recognize. "A practical test of the modified armor against the traditional design. In combat." Thera's scales visibly paled. "Combat, Your Majesty?" "Ceremonial combat," the Queen clarified. "During the Solstice Festival 3 days from now. The entire court will be present, as well as representatives from all major guilds and houses." Logan swallowed hard. "And who would be wearing the modified armor for this demonstration?" The Queen's amber eyes fixed on him. "You will, human." Logan's heart nearly stopped. "Me? But I'm not trained in combat, especially not draconic combat forms. And I'm not exactly built to wear dragon armor." "Adjustments will be made," the Queen said dismissively. "As for training, I will assign a suitable instructor." She turned to Thera. "You will prepare a scaled version of the Royal Guard armor with the human's modifications. It must be ready for the solstice ceremony." Thera bowed deeply. "As you command, Your Majesty." "But who will I be fighting?" Logan asked, his mind racing through increasingly terrifying possibilities. "Commander Kravax has volunteered," the Queen said, confirming Logan's worst fears. "He will wear traditional, unmodified armor." Logan felt the blood drain from his face. "Your Majesty, with all due respect, Kravax is 3 times my size and a trained warrior. This won't be a fair demonstration of the armor's capabilities." "Precisely," the Queen replied, her expression unreadable. "If your modifications perform well even with such disadvantages, No one will be able to question their superiority. She leaned closer to Logan. Do not worry, human. The combat will be ceremonial, with strict rules to prevent serious injury. Somehow, this did not reassure Logan at all. And if I refuse? The Queen's expression hardened slightly. Then the project will be abandoned. You will return to your maintenance duties, and the traditionalists will claim victory. Is that what you want? Logan thought about it for a moment. Despite the fear churning in his stomach, he found himself strangely unwilling to back down. He had put his heart into these modifications, believing they would genuinely improve the armor that protected the Drakari. If demonstrating that meant facing a dragon in combat, well, at least it would make for one hell of a story, assuming he survived to tell it. I'll do it, he said finally. But I'll need intensive training between now and then. The Queen nodded approvingly. You will have it. Report to the training grounds at dawn tomorrow. I will send your instructor. She turned to leave, then paused. Oh, and Logan Hayes? Try not to die. It would be politically inconvenient. With that less than comforting parting remark, the Queen departed, leaving Logan and Thera staring at each other in stunned silence. Well, Logan said finally, I guess we'd better get to work on my armor. Thera shook her head slowly, her golden scales catching the light. You either have the courage of a drake-winged falcon or the intelligence of a swamp lizard. I'm not yet sure which. Logan managed a weak smile. Maybe a bit of both. Now, how do we make dragon armor fit a human? The next morning, Logan arrived at the training grounds before dawn, his body still aching from the previous day's intensive work on his modified armor. He and Thera had worked late into the night, scaling down the designs and adapting them to human proportions while preserving the essential elements of both function and ceremonial significance. The training ground was a vast circular arena open to the sky, its floor covered in dark volcanic sand. Stone pillars ringed the space, many bearing scorch marks and impact damage from previous combat sessions. In the dim pre-dawn light, the place had an eerie, ancient quality that made Logan's skin prickle. You're punctual. Good. Logan whirled around to find a dragon watching him from the shadows of the entry arch. This one was smaller than most Drakari, perhaps 12 feet tall, with scales of deep forest green marked with geometric patterns in black. What struck Logan most was that this dragon was missing the last third of his left wing, the membrane replaced by an intricate mechanical prosthetic that gleamed dully in the low light. I'm Logan Hayes, he introduced himself, unsure of the proper protocol. I know who you are, human, the dragon replied, stepping fully into the arena. I am Razix, former wing commander of the Queen's aerial forces. I will be your instructor. Logan bowed respectfully. Thank you for agreeing to train me, Commander. Former Commander, Razix corrected, tapping his mechanical wing section. And I did not agree. I was ordered. Despite his words, there was no hostility in his tone, merely statement of fact. May I ask what happened? Logan gestured to the prosthetic wing. Razix regarded him for a moment, then nodded slightly. Battle of Skyhaven Pass, 20 years ago. Plasma cannon fire from Nexri separatists. The healers saved my life, but could not regenerate the wing tissue. His gaze sharpened. I hear you have some skill with mechanical systems. Logan nodded. I do. If you'd like, I could take a look at your prosthetic sometime. Might be able to improve the functionality. Razix made a non-committal sound. Perhaps. For now, we focus on keeping you alive during the solstice combat. He began circling Logan slowly, assessing him with experienced eyes. You have good natural balance. Some muscle development, though nothing impressive by Drakari standards. What combat training do you have? Basic self-defense from the Human Exchange Program orientation, Logan admitted. Nothing that would help against a dragon. Razix snorted, a small plume of smoke escaping his nostrils. Truthful at least. Listen carefully, human. You cannot defeat Kravax in direct combat. Not in 3 days, not in 3 years. He is a warrior born, trained in combat since hatching. You are a mechanic with soft skin and no natural weapons. Logan grimaced. Not exactly the motivational speech I was hoping for. I do not deal in false hope, Razix replied. I deal in survival. And your survival will depend on 3 things: your armor, your agility, and your intelligence. The former commander stopped circling and faced Logan directly. The contest is to demonstrate armor functionality, not combat prowess. Victory conditions require you to land 3 strikes on designated target areas on Kravax's body while wearing your modified armor. Similarly, he must land 3 strikes on you. The superior armor will theoretically provide better offense and defense. So, I just need to hit him 3 times before he hits me 3 times? Logan asked. That doesn't sound too bad. Razix made a sound that might have been draconic laughter. Your optimism is amusing. Kravax is faster, stronger, and far more skilled. However, he is also arrogant and predictable. That gives you a small advantage, if you are clever enough to use it. For the next several hours, Razix drilled Logan relentlessly in basic evasive maneuvers and the weak points of traditional dragon armor. They practiced without actual armor, Razix using a training staff to simulate attacks, while Logan worked on dodging and countering. By midday, Logan was drenched in sweat and nursing several painful bruises from where he had failed to evade Razix's strikes. But he was learning. The patterns of draconic movement were becoming more predictable to him, and he was beginning to spot the openings in their attack sequences. Enough for now, Razix announced finally. Rest. Eat. We train again at dusk with your armor. Logan collapsed gratefully onto a stone bench, his muscles trembling with exhaustion. Thank you, Commander Razix. You're a good teacher. The green dragon studied him for a moment. You learn quickly for a human. Tell me, why did you modify the Queen's armor? Surely you knew it would cause complications. Logan shrugged. I saw a problem and fixed it. That's what I do, even when not asked. Razix pressed. Especially then, Logan admitted with a wry smile. Most problems don't announce themselves with formal requests. Razix made that rumbling sound again that Logan now recognized as amusement. A dangerous philosophy on Dracorath. We value order, tradition, hierarchy. So I've learned, Logan sighed. A bit too late. Perhaps not, Razix said, his tone becoming more serious. Change comes slowly to the Drakari, but it does come. Some of us recognize its necessity. He flexed his mechanical wing meaningfully. Before Logan could respond, they were interrupted by the arrival of Thera, who entered the arena carrying a large bundle wrapped in ceremonial cloth. The armor is ready for the first fitting, she announced, setting the bundle down carefully on a nearby table. Logan approached eagerly, curious to see how their design had translated to his human proportions. Thera unwrapped the bundle reverently, revealing a set of armor that took Logan's breath away. The scaled-down version of the Royal Guard armor was a masterpiece of adaptation. While preserving the essential draconic aesthetic and ceremonial patterns, Thera had redesigned the proportions to fit a human frame. The plates were smaller and lighter but retained the distinctive overlapping pattern that characterized Drakari armor. The shoulder joints incorporated Logan's improved design, as did all the other major articulation points. It's beautiful, Logan said sincerely. Thera, this is incredible work. The golden dragon ducked her head slightly in what Logan had come to recognize as a gesture of modest acknowledgement. The challenge was interesting. Human physiology requires different weight distribution and range of motion. Razix approached to examine the armor, his expert eye assessing its combat potential. The craftsmanship is excellent, but how will it perform? Let's find out. He gestured to Logan. Put it on. With Thera's assistance, Logan donned the armor piece by piece. Despite never having worn anything remotely like it before, he was surprised by how natural it felt. Each plate seated perfectly against his body, the joints moving smoothly as he tested his range of motion. How does it feel? Thera asked anxiously. Logan rotated his shoulders, bent at the waist, and performed a deep knee bend. Like it was made for me, which I guess it was. The weight distribution is perfect. I barely feel it. Razix circled him critically. The lightness is good. Mobility will be your only advantage against Kravax. He prodded at various sections of the armor, testing its resistance. The protection seems adequate, though a direct hit from Kravax will still be unpleasant. I don't plan on taking direct hits, Logan said, continuing to test the armor's mobility with more complex movements. A wise strategy, Razix agreed dryly. Now attack me. Logan hesitated. Are you sure? I don't want to damage your wing. The green dragon's expression hardened. Do not mistake injury for weakness, human. Attack. Now. Chastened, Logan lunged forward, aiming a strike at Razix's midsection. The dragon evaded effortlessly, his tail sweeping around to knock Logan off balance. To everyone's surprise, including Logan's, he managed to pivot smoothly in the armor and avoid the tail sweep. Good, Razix nodded approvingly. Again, they continued sparring, with Razix gradually increasing the intensity of his attacks. The armor performed beautifully, allowing Logan movement and protection that would have been impossible with the traditional design. By the time they finished, even Razix seemed cautiously impressed. "You may survive this after all, human," the former commander acknowledged. Though much depends on Kravax's mood and the specific rules the Queen establishes for the combat. Speaking of which, Thera interjected, "Her Majesty has requested your presence, Logan. She wishes to discuss the terms of the demonstration." Logan's stomach tightened with anxiety, but he nodded. "I'll go right away." He turned to Razix. "Same time tomorrow morning?" The green dragon inclined his head slightly. "Be prepared to work twice as hard. Today was merely assessment." With Thera's help, Logan removed the armor, handling each piece with the reverence she had taught him was appropriate. Then, still aching from the day's training, he made his way to the royal audience chamber where the Queen awaited. Queen Zalia was alone save for two silent royal guards when Logan was shown in. She was examining what appeared to be star charts projected in a three-dimensional hologram above a large table. "Logan Hayes," she acknowledged him without looking up from the charts. "Your training progresses well?" "Yes, Your Majesty," Logan replied, wondering how she knew. "Commander Razix is an excellent instructor." "Former commander," the Queen corrected absently, finally turning her attention fully to Logan. "And yes, he is one of my finest warriors before his injury." She studied Logan for a moment. "You are not what most Drakari expect from a human." Logan wasn't sure how to respond to that. "In what way, Your Majesty?" "You question and improve rather than simply accepting. You see problems where others see only tradition." The Queen's massive head tilted slightly. "It is both your strength and your danger." "I'm just a mechanic, Your Majesty," Logan said, feeling uncomfortable under her intense scrutiny. "No, you are a catalyst," the Queen replied cryptically. "But enough philosophy. We must discuss the combat parameters." She waved a clawed hand, and the star charts disappeared, replaced by a holographic representation of the ceremonial arena where the demonstration would take place. It was larger and more elaborate than the training ground where Logan had spent the day. "The solstice ceremony includes traditional combat demonstrations," the Queen explained. "Normally, these are between Drakari warriors of equal rank and similar size. Your match with Commander Kravax is unprecedented." "That seems to be a recurring theme in my life lately," Logan observed, then quickly added, "Your Majesty." To his surprise, the Queen made the rumbling sound of draconic amusement. "Indeed. To ensure the demonstration is fair and informative, I have established the following parameters." She outlined the rules. The combat would last for a maximum of 10 minutes. Victory would go to the combatant who landed 3 clean strikes on designated target areas on their opponent's armor. If neither achieved this within the time limit, judges would assess the performance of each armor set based on mobility, protection, and strike effectiveness. "These terms should give you a fighting chance, human," the Queen concluded, "assuming your modifications perform as well as you claim." "They will, Your Majesty," Logan said with more confidence than he felt. "But may I ask a question?" The Queen inclined her head in permission. "Why is this so important to you?" "It's just armor design." For a long moment, the Queen was silent, her amber eyes unreadable. Finally, she spoke, her voice lower and more personal than Logan had heard before. "It is never just anything on Drakarath, Logan Hayes. Every change, no matter how small, represents a potential shift in the balance of power. The Drakari have ruled this sector of space for 10,000 years because we are strong, but strength without adaptation leads to extinction." She moved to a window overlooking the capital city, motioning for Logan to join her. Below, the massive stone and metal structures of the Drakari capital gleamed in the light of the setting suns, a testament to their technological and architectural prowess. "We face threats that our ancestors could not have imagined," the Queen continued. "The Nexari Collective grows more aggressive at our borders. The Tachyon Dominion develops new weapons. Even the Human Alliance, small though it is, expands its influence. She turned back to Logan. Your simple mechanical improvement represents something greater. The value of outside perspective, of innovation unburdened by thousand-year traditions. Some of my people fear this represents the beginning of the end for our way of life. Others see it as necessary evolution. And what do you see, Your Majesty? Logan asked quietly. Survival, she answered simply. The strongest creatures are not those who never change, but those who adapt while preserving their essential nature. Her massive scaled head lowered to Logan's level. That is why this demonstration is important. It is not about armor. It is about the future of my people. Logan felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. I understand, Your Majesty. I won't let you down. See that you don't, the Queen replied, straightening to her full impressive height. For both our sakes. The next 2 days passed in a blur of intensive training and final armor adjustments. Razix drove Logan mercilessly, drilling him in combat techniques specifically designed to exploit the weaknesses in traditional dragon armor while maximizing the advantages of his modified version. Thera worked alongside them, making real-time adjustments to the armor based on observations from the training sessions. Her craftsmanship was flawless, her understanding of both the mechanical and ceremonial aspects allowing her to find the perfect balance between innovation and tradition. By the eve of the Solstice Festival, Logan was exhausted but better prepared than he would have thought possible. His body ached constantly, marked with bruises from training, but his movements in the armor had become fluid and confident. Razix had even grudgingly acknowledged his progress. You will not win through strength or skill, the former commander reminded him during their final session. But you may win through surprise, agility, and the superior design of your armor. Remember, Kravax expects to dominate you easily. His overconfidence is your opportunity. Logan nodded, committing every piece of advice to memory. Thank you, Commander, for everything. Razix studied him for a moment, then inclined his head slightly. You have earned my respect, human. Few would have the courage to face what awaits you tomorrow. Or the stupidity, Logan added with a weak smile. Sometimes they are the same thing, Razix observed. Rest now. Tomorrow will test you as you have never been tested before. That night, Logan lay awake in his quarters, mind racing despite his physical exhaustion. So much had changed in such a short time. A week ago, he had been an anonymous maintenance worker, fixing ventilation systems in forgotten tunnels. Now he was preparing to fight a dragon commander in ceremonial combat before the Queen and entire royal court, potentially influencing the future course of Drakari society. All because he couldn't resist fixing a mechanical problem when he saw one. Morning came too quickly. Logan was awakened by Thera, who arrived with several guild apprentices carrying his armor and ceremonial robes. It is time, she said simply. The Solstice Festival was the most important cultural event in the Drakari calendar, marking the day when Drakaratha's twin suns aligned perfectly over the ancient temple at the heart of the capital. The entire city was decorated with flame-resistant banners and ceremonial lights, and the population was in a festive mood. Everyone except Logan, who felt like he was marching to his execution. The ceremonial arena was packed with spectators when Logan arrived, every tier filled with dragons of various ranks and houses. A special royal box had been prepared for Queen Zalia and her closest advisors, elevated above the general seating for optimal viewing. Logan was led to a preparation chamber beneath the arena, where Thera and her assistants helped him don his armor with all the proper ceremonial procedures. Each piece was blessed and anointed before being attached, accompanied by traditional chants in the ancient Drakari language. Remember your training, Thera said quietly as she secured the final chest plate. And remember that regardless of the outcome today, you have already accomplished something significant. No human has ever worn ceremonial Drakari armor before. Let's hope I'm not the last, Logan replied, attempting humor despite his anxiety. A deep gong sounded above, signaling that it was time. Logan took a deep breath and followed his escort up the ramp that led to the arena floor. The roar that greeted his appearance was deafening. Thousands of dragons expressing their curiosity, excitement, and in many cases, disapproval at the unprecedented spectacle. Logan tried to focus on his breathing as he walked to the center of the arena, where a ceremonial circle had been inscribed in the sand. Across the arena, another entrance opened, and Commander Kravax emerged to thunderous applause. The red dragon was resplendent in traditional royal guard armor, polished to a high shine that caught the light of the aligned sun streaming through the open roof. He moved with predatory grace despite his enormous size, clearly accustomed to performing before crowds. Queen Zalia rose from her seat in the royal box, and the arena immediately fell silent. Today, as part of our sacred solstice celebrations, we witness a demonstration of armor functionality. Her voice carried effortlessly throughout the vast space. Commander Kravax will represent our traditional armor design. Logan Hayes, human mechanic, will demonstrate his modified version. Murmurs swept through the crowd at this formal acknowledgement of Logan's contribution. The Queen continued, outlining the rules of the combat for the benefit of the spectators, emphasizing that this was a technical demonstration rather than a battle to submission. Let the demonstration begin at the solstice chime, the Queen concluded, resuming her seat. Logan and Kravax approached the center circle, stopping at its edge as tradition dictated. Up close, the Dragon Commander was even more intimidating. Nearly 18 feet of muscle, scale, and barely contained aggression. Your modifications will fail, human, Kravax said quietly, for Logan's ears alone. And when they do, it will prove what I have said all along, that humans have no place in Dracaria affairs. We'll let the armor speak for itself, Logan replied, striving for a calm he didn't feel. The commander's eyes narrowed dangerously. Oh, it will. And after I defeat you, perhaps the Queen will reconsider her progressive policies regarding your kind. Before Logan could respond, a crystal chime rang out, signaling the perfect alignment of the twin suns. The demonstration had begun. Kravax moved with surprising speed for his size, charging directly at Logan with obvious intent to end the contest quickly and decisively. Logan, remembering Razix's training, waited until the last possible moment before dodging sideways, using the superior mobility of his modified armor to slip past the dragon's outstretched claws. The crowd murmured in surprise as Logan executed a perfect roll and came up on his feet behind Kravax. The commander whirled, his tail lashing out in a move that would have caught most opponents. But Logan had been drilled repeatedly on this exact scenario and leapt over the sweeping tail, landing lightly on his feet. Stand still and fight, human, Kravax growled, clearly annoyed by Logan's evasive tactics. Not part of the rules, Commander, Logan replied, continuing to maintain distance. He needed to watch, to wait for the opening Razix had taught him to recognize. They circled each other warily, Kravax making occasional lunges that Logan evaded. The crowd was growing restless, expecting more direct combat. Logan knew he needed to make a move soon or risk losing the audience's interest, and with it, the political impact of the demonstration. Kravax charged again, this time feinting left before striking right. It was a well-executed maneuver, but it required him to twist in a way that Logan knew would stress the traditional armor's shoulder joint. As the Dragon Commander committed to the strike, Logan saw his opportunity. Instead of retreating, Logan darted forward, slipping inside Kravax's guard at the exact moment when the traditional armor's joint limitation would be at its maximum. With perfect timing, he struck the designated target area on the dragon's chest, his armored gauntlet connecting solidly with the ceremonial plate. A resonant tone rang out across the arena, confirming a valid strike. The crowd erupted in a mixture of cheers and roars of disbelief. Logan had scored the first point. Kravax's expression darkened with fury. Lucky strike, human. It won't happen again. The Dragon Commander abandoned his more elaborate techniques, reverting to direct, powerful attacks that relied on his superior strength and reach. Logan found himself hard-pressed to maintain distance, narrowly avoiding several strikes that would have ended the contest immediately. During one particularly aggressive sequence, Logan misjudged his timing and Kravax's armored tail caught him squarely in the side. Despite the excellent protection of his modified armor, the impact sent Logan tumbling across the sand. The confirmation tone sounded. Kravax had scored a point. Logan scrambled to his feet, wincing at the pain in his ribs but grateful that the armor had distributed the force enough to prevent serious injury. The traditional armor would have crumpled under such impact, potentially causing broken ribs or worse. "First blood to me, human," Kravax called out, playing to the crowd. "Two more, and this farce ends." Logan didn't waste breath on a reply, instead focusing on regaining his composure and looking for another opening. The demonstration was now tied at 1 strike each, with just over half the allotted time remaining. Kravax pressed his advantage, clearly believing that Logan would be more defensive after taking a hit. Instead, Logan surprised him by closing distance quickly, using his smaller size and the superior mobility of his armor to dart inside the dragon's reach again. This time, however, Kravax was ready. He pivoted with unexpected agility and caught Logan with a glancing blow to the shoulder. The confirmation tone sounded again, 2 strikes to 1 in Kravax's favor. A roar of approval went up from the traditionalist faction in the crowd. Logan could see Queen Zalia watching impassively from the royal box, her expression revealing nothing of her thoughts. Only one more strike and Kravax would win, proving the superiority of the traditional armor design and dealing a significant blow to the progressive faction at court. Logan couldn't let that happen, not after everything he had learned about what this demonstration truly represented. Time was running short. Logan needed to score 2 more hits without taking another, and Kravax was now fighting with cautious confidence, maintaining his guard while looking for the opportunity to land the final, decisive strike. Logan remembered Razix's final piece of advice from that morning: when conventional tactics fail, change the battlefield. With a sudden decision, Logan charged directly at Kravax, a move so unexpected that it momentarily confused the dragon commander. Instead of striking, however, Logan dropped and slid across the sand, passing between the dragon's legs and coming up behind him. Before Kravax could turn, Logan leapt upward, using the enhanced spring in his armor's leg joints to gain height, and struck the designated target area on the back of the commander's neck, a point deliberately difficult to reach in the traditional armor design due to limited rotation capabilities. The confirmation tone sounded. To all. The crowd was fully engaged now, dragons standing and roaring as the demonstration reached its climax. Queen Zalia leaned forward slightly in her seat, her intense gaze fixed on the combatants. Kravax was visibly angry now, his disciplined combat style giving way to more aggressive, less controlled movements. This was exactly what Logan had hoped for. The more the dragon commander pushed his traditional armor to its limits, the more its design flaws would become apparent. With less than a minute remaining, both combatants knew the next strike would likely determine the outcome. Kravax launched a coordinated attack, wings, tail, and claws all moving in patterns designed to leave no avenue of escape. Logan waited until the last possible moment, then executed the most difficult maneuver Razix had taught him, a spinning leap that took advantage of every enhanced joint in his modified armor, contorting his body in ways impossible in the traditional design. As he spun past Kravax's guard, Logan struck the final target area on the dragon's lower back, the 3rd valid hit. The confirmation tone sounded just as the time signal indicated the end of the demonstration. Logan had won, 3 strikes to 2. For a moment, the arena was silent as the crowd processed what they had witnessed. Then, starting from the royal box and spreading outward, applause began to build. Dragons were notoriously reluctant to acknowledge non-Drakari accomplishments, so the growing applause represented a significant shift in attitude. Kravax stood motionless in the center of the arena, his expression a mixture of disbelief and fury. Protocol required him to acknowledge the outcome of the demonstration, but his pride was clearly wounded. Queen Zalia rose from her seat, commanding immediate silence. The demonstration is concluded. The modified armor design has proven superior in mobility and strike effectiveness, while maintaining equivalent protective capability. She gestured to both combatants. Honor to Commander Kravax for his skilled representation of our traditional ways. Honor also to Logan Hayes, whose innovations have shown merit worthy of incorporation into our Royal Guard equipment. With that formal pronouncement, the matter was settled, at least officially. Logan knew that the political repercussions would continue to play out in the court and beyond, But the Queen's public endorsement of his modifications was a significant victory for the progressive faction. As Logan left the arena, exhausted but triumphant, he was met by Thera and Razix in the preparation chamber. "Well fought, human," Razix said, the highest praise Logan had yet received from the former commander. "Your armor performed perfectly," Thera added, her golden scales practically glowing with excitement. The joint modifications responded exactly as designed, even under combat stress. Logan sank onto a bench, allowing Thera's assistants to begin removing his armor. "I couldn't have done it without both of you. The armor worked because of your craftsmanship, Thera, and I only landed those strikes because of your training, Commander." "A collaborative victory," Thera observed. "Perhaps that is the most important demonstration of all." As the final pieces of armor were removed, a royal attendant entered the chamber. "The Queen requests your presence, human." Immediately, Logan exchanged glances with his companions, wondering what this summons might mean. He quickly changed into the formal robes provided and followed the attendant through a private passage that led directly to the royal box. Queen Zalia was alone when Logan entered, her massive form silhouetted against the aligned suns visible through the panoramic window. "Logan Hayes," she acknowledged him. "You fought well today." "Thank you, Your Majesty," Logan bowed respectfully, though it was more about the armor than my fighting ability. "Was it?" the Queen mused. "I observed a human facing a dragon 3 times his size in ceremonial combat, a situation where any rational being would expect defeat, and yet finding a way to prevail through adaptation and innovation." She turned her amber gaze on him fully. "Perhaps that is the true lesson of today's demonstration." Logan wasn't sure how to respond to that, so he remained silent. "I have made my decision regarding the armor modifications," the Queen continued. "They will be implemented for all Royal Guard equipment, under the joint supervision of Master Valthor and yourself." Logan's eyes widened in surprise. "Myself? But I'm just a maintenance worker." "No longer," the Queen said firmly. "I am creating a new position, Royal Technical Advisor. You will work directly with the Armorsmith Guild to identify and implement appropriate technological improvements while respecting our sacred traditions." She paused. "Unless you wish to return to fixing ventilation systems." Logan couldn't help but smile. "I would be honored to accept the position, Your Majesty." "Good. There will be resistance, of course. Commander Kravax and his faction will not change their views overnight. But they have seen the evidence with their own eyes today, and that is a beginning." The Queen moved toward the exit, indicating the audience was nearing its conclusion. "One more thing, Logan Hayes. The next time you feel compelled to modify royal property without permission, do ask first. Even progressive monarchs have their limits." Logan bowed deeply. "Understood, Your Majesty." As he watched the Queen depart, Logan reflected on the strange path that had led him here. From anonymous maintenance worker to royal technical advisor in the space of a week, all because he couldn't resist fixing a mechanical problem when he saw one. Some months later, Logan stood on a balcony overlooking the royal training grounds, watching the Dragon Guards perform maneuvers in their newly modified armor. The improvements had been implemented across the entire Royal Guard, with even Commander Kravax grudgingly acknowledging the superior performance. Thera joined him at the railing, her golden scales catching the afternoon sunlight. "The retrofit program is complete," she reported. "All 127 sets modified and blessed according to tradition." "And how are they being received?" Logan asked. "The younger guards have embraced the changes enthusiastically. The veterans are more reserved, but admit the improvements are functional." Thera's mouth curved in a slight draconic smile. "High praise from traditionalists." Logan nodded, satisfied. In the months since the solstice demonstration, he had worked closely with the Armorsmith Guild, learning their traditions while offering technical innovations that enhanced rather than replaced their ancient craftsmanship. It had been a delicate balance, but one that was proving increasingly successful. "Commander Razix asked me to give you this," Thera said, handing Logan a small metal emblem bearing the insignia of the Royal Guard. "It's a mark of honorary membership in the Aerial Combat Division. Quite unprecedented for a non-Drakari." Logan accepted the emblem with surprise and gratitude. "I'm honored. How is his new wing prosthetic working?" He says it provides 30% greater maneuverability than the old design, Thera replied. Though he would never admit to being pleased with anything, of course. They were interrupted by the arrival of a royal messenger. Technical Advisor Hayes, the Queen requests your presence in the strategic planning chamber. It concerns the new defensive shield generators. As Logan followed the messenger, he reflected on how much had changed since that day in the maintenance tunnel when he had impulsively decided to fix the Queen's armor. What had begun as a simple mechanical adjustment had evolved into something much more significant. A small but important shift in how the Drakari approached both technology and interspecies relations. He had learned that on Drakarath, nothing was ever just a repair job. Everything, from armor joints to cultural attitudes, was interconnected in ways that weren't immediately obvious to an outsider. By respecting their traditions while offering genuine improvements, he had found a way to bridge worlds that had seemed impossibly distant. Queen Zalia looked up from the holographic display as Logan entered the strategic planning chamber. Technical Advisor Hayes. We have detected a potential weakness in the new shield generator configuration. I believe your unique perspective might be valuable in addressing it. Logan smiled as he joined the Queen and her generals at the display. I'll do my best, Your Majesty. After all, fixing problems is what I do. And that was the end of the story. If you listened all the way to here, don't forget to leave feedback about what you thought of the story in the comments, whether positive or negative. Your feedback helps us improve. Also leave your like and subscribe to the channel for more stories like this one. And I'll leave here on the screen another video that I'm sure you'll like. Big hug, and see you in the next story.